I've been blackmailed, extorted, and threatened by people operating in the shadows. This isn't speculation. This isn't paranoia. This is reality. The system isn't designed to support innovators or disruptors. It protects those that are already in power. So when you challenge that power, you aren't just met with resistance, you're met with manipulation, intimidation, and legal warfare. So we built something that threatened the wrong people. And what followed wasn't competition. Instead, it was a coordinated effort to shut us down. Contracts vanished, industry invitations revoked, a quiet but yet deliberate effort to erase us from the market. But what they didn't expect was that we would put up a fight, we would fight back, and inevitably we would win. So today I'm going to talk to you through how we survived multiple lawsuits, industry-wide blacklisting, and systemic corruption while being blackmailed and at the same time having my life threatened. And yet, despite every attempt to shut us down, we managed to keep the company alive, our mission intact, and our impact is still growing. This isn't just a story about overnight success or pitch deck fantasies. So if that's what you're looking for, this isn't the right episode for you. This is about what happens when every door slams in your face, when the rules change the moment that you start winning, and when people with very deep pockets decide that your business should not exist. This is about resilience when retreat seems like the rational choice. Calculated risk when playing it safe means certain death. And reinvention when your original path is destroyed. Look, every entrepreneur faces challenges. That's normal. Competitors will push back, markets will test you, customers will challenge you. But then there's a different kind of resistance, one that no business book prepares us for: systemic resistance. Look, our company was built on a simple idea. Commodity trading should benefit producers, not just the financial institutions. It wasn't radical, it was fair. And yet, it was seen as a major threat to those controlling the system. 12 months in, we had around 300 buyers and sellers on our platform. Pilot trades were running. The feedback was great. Members, the participants, felt empowered. Trade processes were dramatically improving and improved, and transparency had never been higher. Members loved it. And then the first big wall appeared, a call from one of the largest commodity companies in the world. Let's call them Big Commodities. And they were requesting a meeting. So I thought it was a breakthrough. I'm here to tell you it wasn't. The meeting was 5 people, 2 executives, 3 lawyers. They weren't interested in our technology. What they were doing is they were gathering intelligence. And 3 weeks later, we received a cease and desist letter. They claimed that we were violating industry data protocols set by what we will call an international commodity consortium. Simply put, groups they controlled. Now, let's be clear. We weren't breaking any laws, and we didn't break any laws. These so-called protocols were internal agreements signed by this consortium to maintain control. They were not regulations. And then came the domino effect. Partners pulled out of contracts, citing industry concerns. Calls from potential members going unanswered. I was removed from a speaking panel that we were planning to speak at without explanation. This wasn't competition. This was a coordinated shutdown. And I sat in my office late one night staring at these legal threats and withdrawn contracts, and it hit me. The established players in this game don't play fair. They change the rules. And I was pissed. I was angry. But I needed to be strategic. So I called a lawyer friend who's worked on high-profile corporate battles. And I asked his advice. And his advice, document everything. Patterns reveal themselves over time, he said. Build allies. Find others fighting the same fight. Recognize the real battle. This isn't about business competition. It's about dismantling systemic control. So we pivoted, but not far from our mission. We shifted tactics. We built alliances with advocacy groups. We focused on smaller independent buyers and sellers as members who aren't beholden to the big players. We gathered our data showing our platform's superior performance and efficiency. But the turning point came when we quantified our impact. So when we could show how much faster and more cost-effective the platform was, that made us impossible to ignore. So the key takeaways I want you to take from this: everyday resistance pushes you to improve. Systemic resistance will try to eliminate you entirely. The moment industry groups change standard practices after you gain traction, you should realize you're facing systemic resistance. And the best way to fight this is to fight back with the facts, with alliances, and with the strategic pivots along the way. When big commodities failed to shut us down quietly, they tried another route, legal warfare. And 3 months after our first trial trade on the platform, we received a lawsuit claiming we were an unregistered commodities exchange. Now, here's the problem with that. We aren't an exchange. We don't claim to be an exchange. We're simply connecting buyers and sellers of commodities. Legal merit isn't the point, or wasn't the point. Draining our resources was. And the legal fees just to respond, around $43,000. And at that point, our runway was a few $100,000 at best. We were bleeding out before we'd even have a day in court. Then another lawsuit, this time market manipulation, alleging by allowing producers or sellers to list their own prices that we were disrupting fair pricing. Now, in reality, we were disrupting their control over fair pricing. So I sat down, I looked at our financials, and I realized that at this rate, we weren't going to survive another few months. So we changed the game. We partnered with a law school to get freer legal assistance. We worked with a mid-sized firm on a hybrid payment structure, which was lower rates in exchange for client referrals. We built an alliance of startups that had faced similar attacks and problems. And through this, we were able to share some legal costs as well as strategies. And then came the make or break move. One of the largest trading firms filed for an emergency injunction to shut us down, to shut the platform down. We had 7 days to respond. This time, the cost was around $75,000. We had around $30,000. But instead of panicking, we activated our alliance. They shared legal briefs from similar experiences. They connected us with some expert consultants. And within 7 days, we'd had it dismissed. Now, thankfully, the judge saw through their tactics, questioned their motives for blocking competition as opposed to having a genuine case. So if you take nothing else away from this today, please remember this. Not every legal battle is worth fighting. Know when to pivot and when to stand firm. Find creative legal resources like we did. Law, clinics, hybrid payments, alliances, they can all reduce your costs. No matter how big or small, every legal victory does set a precedent. So once you win once, the frivolous attacks will slow down. The lawsuits were just the beginning. What happened next revealed just how deep the corruption ran. Now the shipping companies were saying that they were revoking insurance for members using our platform. Banks were all of a sudden delaying transactions due to further needs of compliance checks. Pricing benchmarks were being manipulated to discredit our model of price transparency. And at a conference, I was pulled aside by a senior executive from a major trading house. And his message was clear. You give us your platform or things will get difficult for you. Of course, we refused. And a week later, we lost 2 major banking partners. So from here on in, we started documenting everything: phone calls, emails, transaction delays. The patterns were undeniable. And we pivoted. We switched to independent shipping and fintech solutions. We built transparent model making price manipulation impossible. We engaged with regulators, exposing the industry gatekeeping that was going on. And the result? We weren't just surviving, we were in fact defining a new standard for commodity trading. So the key takeaways I'd like you to take from this today: powerful players will always use infrastructure as a weapon. Transparency is your competitive advantage. Corrupt systems do fear exposure. Use your documentation strategically. The system is against you, but you don't have to play by its rules. So every attack we face forced us to innovate, adapt, and grow stronger. And remember this: the greatest weakness of powerful incumbents is that they do not expect you to fold. The greatest strength of disruptors is that we don't have to. So now, go out and disrupt. Thanks for joining us today.